Hey, I nearly said hola then because I've just been. The reason I'm a little bit late is somebody was inquiring about Spanish classes. So I had to deal with that inquiry. So now I've got my Spanish head on. Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So I'm based in mainland Spain. It is currently 11:24 a.m. on a beautiful day. It's 31 degrees, but it's not too hot yet. It's pleasant. It's lovely. Really nice weather we've got at the moment. So if you're on holiday at the moment in Spain or thinking of going on holiday to Spain, I would definitely recommend this is a good time to come before it gets too hot. When it gets into sort of June properly in July, August, this is a comfortable heat. So again, in today's video, we're going to talk about this mushroom murder trial that is still ongoing. And we were hoping that today might have been the last bit of evidence given by the prosecution, then it'd move on to the defense, and then quite quickly we might be getting into the actual jury deliberations. But anyway, it doesn't look like that. I think tomorrow is Friday. That will only be a half day, whatever. Hopefully, tomorrow maybe we'll finish off the actual presentation of evidence, etc. And next week, which will be the 6th week of this trial, may get into closing arguments and jury deliberations, etc. So I think, originally this trial was supposed to last 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. We're now at the end of the 5th week. Looks like we're going into the 6th week. And, even though early on the judge did say that it may not take as long as originally thought, but that's gone out the window now. I think it's it's going to go the full 6 weeks, isn't it? Or certainly not far off. And then, of course, we've got to wait for the verdicts. Are the jury going to be deliberating for long? Or is it going to be, one of those quick decisions? Or will the defense have done enough to create this reasonable doubt? Which, up to now, to be honest, it didn't feel like they had done. They're definitely having a good go at it at the moment. So when we look through day 22, we'll see that the defense finally seems to be getting their act together a little bit, at least. Whether they'll do enough to convince the jury or not, I don't know. So for anyone who doesn't know, this, of course, is the case of Erin Patterson, who's being tried for triple murder. I mean, let that sink in. Triple murder, murdering 3 people, and one person survived. So these are the 3 people that Erin allegedly poisoned with these death cap mushrooms that she allegedly foraged after seeing them on a naturalist website. This is in Australia, near Melbourne. And allegedly, again, these are the 3 people she killed, Don and Gail Patterson, who were the parents of her estranged husband, Simon. Gail's sister, Heather, died after ingesting these mushrooms. And Ian, her husband, he was the only person who survived. But he was severely ill. He had to have a liver transplant. But he has survived, and he has given very important testimony. But interestingly enough, we have had really testimony from the 3 victims, the 3 people who died, because it took them a couple of days to die. Poisoning with death cap mushrooms is long, lingering, painful, debilitating, so they didn't die instantly. So they had time to give some testimony. I think their testimony has been important as well, especially that about the plates. I seem to have a hair in my eye somewhere, but I can see it, but I can't get rid of it. Is it gone? There it is. I think I got it then. It's irritating me. It was a hair dangling in front of my eyelash. So this is the case. This is Erin's estranged husband, Simon. So he's lost his parents and his auntie, and his uncle was severely ill. So this is the case. And, you know, as I say, we're on day 22, so I'm not going to go through everything, though things will come up as we go along that I'll probably mention of some of the evidence that's been presented so far. But there is a playlist, and the playlist is in the description box to this video, where you can catch up from day one of this trial, all 22 days to hear all the evidence of expert. We've heard from mushroom experts, we've heard from toxicology experts, we've heard from the medical staff at the hospitals that treated the victims, we've heard from digital data experts, we've heard a lot of from a lot of experts, let's just put it that way. So we all know a lot more about mushrooms now than we did before. We all know a lot more about digital data and all sorts of things, some of which we probably wish we still didn't know about, but they've been important, I suppose, for the jury to listen to. And this is Erin. These are not the mushrooms that she poisoned or allegedly poisoned the people with. They're just that I think these mushrooms are attractive to look at. But the ones that she actually used, the death cat, if she did, the death cat mushrooms look much more sort of normal, don't they? They look very innocuous, don't look like they could do you any damage. You could easily see that somebody could pick them by mistake. I think that would have been Erin's better defense, to be honest, say she picked them by mistake. Because these allegations that she bought them in some Chinese supermarket are just not washing, are they? So she probably could have thought of a better way to go. But anyway, okay. So day 22, we're going to look at that day. First of all, just want to say thank you to everybody as usual. Thank you to my subscribers, to those of you who like my videos. Thank you especially to my members. And tonight is Members Live, Thursday. Again, we blinked and it was Thursday again. And so I think what we're going to look at tonight in Members Live are some hilarious things that I found. I think we're going to have a little lighter I've got some brilliant things to show you, and I know my members, they like the waffle, they like the chit chat, so we're going to do a bit of that tonight. So yeah, thank you to my members, thank you to those of you who sent super stickers, bought Ko-fis, sent me emails, etc. Thank you so much for supporting my channel in whichever way you do it. Thank you. Let's take that banner off. Now, hi lurkers, special kiss for my lurkers. I've got real affection for my lurkers because they're like me, they lurk, they don't like to come into the chat maybe, but they're interested, they watch. Thank you for that. And hello to Replay Crew, más besos. I've still got Spanish in my head. More kisses. And of course, to those of you that are in the chat and are brave enough to come into the chat, even more kisses, más besos. So let's say hello before we get going. Let's say hello to whoever's in the chat so far. Hi Angel, hi Bluebell, hi David. Tracy, hi Tracy. Oh, pouring down in Scotland. Ah, well. Yeah, we don't know yet. We still don't know if Erin's going to take the stand or not. It's the prosecution are finishing off. They were supposed to really finish today, I think. But they're not. They're going into tomorrow. But then the defence will decide what witnesses they call and whether Erin will be one of them. I don't know. It will be 9 o'clock Spanish time, Tracy. 9 o'clock Spanish time, which is 8 o'clock UK time. So I like to make it a little bit later so that the people in Australia can be awake. Hi, Excel in Sydney. Hi, Cadders from Birmingham. Okay, so let's have a look what was said today. I think that, I don't know that he wasted a day, Excel. I think what he did was he's trying to sort of kill the jurors with boredom. I don't know, but he was trying to discredit some of the information that the police have given so far. So some of the information that the police have given, or the testimony that police have given, about these bad texts that Erin sent about her relatives. He's trying to discredit them, say they were taken out of context. He's trying to say the police didn't search the house properly. They could have found that phone that they say is missing, but they didn't look hard enough. But anyway, that's what we'll see as we go through. So, where are we? I've got quite a few windows open because I've got quite a few videos that I want to do today. But of course, I've got to start with this one because it's important. So, proceedings slow to start. So we have had 3 days of very intense sort of testimony, and it felt like they were really getting on with it. And now it seems to have gone back to slow because it's coming up to the weekend. Mr. Colin Mandy, the defence lawyer, likes it. I think he likes his time off, doesn't he? So he's probably building up to the weekend. I don't know what he's doing, really. Maybe he is wasting time. Maybe he's trying to make it longer that the jury won't remember things from the beginning. I don't know. But so they recapped, first of all, just what they found yesterday, which was that a SIM card was swapped from one phone to another during a police search of Erin's home. Erin told Facebook friends she purchased a new phone when hers was broken and had learnt about doing a hard reboot. Text messages sent in the weeks before the launch, this is what has happened before today, was shown to the court. And a very important thing is that Erin told her, now Mr. Mandy won't be able to get away from this. Erin told her mother-in-law, Gail, she had a needle biopsy taken of a lump and needed an MRI, because remember, she lied about having cancer, but there was no evidence of this ever happening. And we know that Erin did tell her mother-in-law this because her mother-in-law had written about it in her diary and remembered to ask Erin about it. How did it go, etc. So that is irrefutable evidence that Erin is a liar. Erin's purchase history and Woolworths Rewards card was shown in the week before the lunch. And there had been purchases, in the week before the lunch, there'd been purchases of mushroom slices, puff pastry, frozen phyllo pastry and other items from Woolworths. And during cross-examination, the defence introduced earlier medical records. They're trying to say that she did have cancer, or at least she had concerns about cancer, because it was mentioned in her medical records that Erin said she had concerns about ovarian cancer, but that the initial results, according to medical notes, were all fine. So, okay, so the jury comes in and Mr. Eppinstall is back on the stand. Mr. Mandy's moving through his line of questioning quite quickly, touching on a number of topics. And he asks about a number of Booktopia book receipts that the detective says he's seen that relate to diet books purchased by Erin. He then touches on the media's interest in the case. Mr. Eppinstall confirms that on August the 6th, the media and the wider public were informed that the homicide squad was involved in the investigation. Then they go on to talk about bank records, phone records. Mr. Mandy asks a few questions about Erin's bank records, which were collected between the 1st of July and August the 4th. And the detective says he can't explain why police didn't collect records prior to July the 1st. So anyway, this is, at the end of the day, this is Colin Mandy's job, isn't it, to cast aspersions, if you like, or cast doubts on whatever the police have found that's detrimental to Erin. Mr. Mandy, let's have a look at him. I like to put his photo up every now and again. This is Colin Mandy. It's his job to try and discredit negative things against his client, and it seems like this is what he's trying to do. So Mr. Mandy highlights a few transactions which suggest some flaws in both of Ellen's children's recollection of events during their interview with police. We're now looking at Simon Patterson's phone, which was handed into the police during the investigation and later handed back to him. And Mr. Patterson mentioned he had changed his handset at some stage. It's murder when you change your phone, isn't it? That's how I ended up with two phones, although one of my phones currently is being used by number one son because his phone's gone weird. But that's how I ended up with two phones, because when you buy a new phone, I'm literally going back years, the last time I got a new phone, I just couldn't be bothered changing everything over. So I ended up with two phones. But I'm going to have to really try and get a better phone, because the phones I've got, they're not good enough for videos and things. You know, I want to be out and about doing videos. But then I'm going to have to get everything on phone. I will. It's on the list. You know, my list, I've got this list, massive list of things that I never do. But anyway. So we're looking closely at the extraction of Simon Patterson's phone. Mr. Eppinstall says he only requested a limited extraction, seeking just the messages on Simon's phone. And while he doesn't have the exact number, he accepts there were about 280 messages between Erin and Simon that were downloaded during that extraction. Don't think we've had those yet, have we? We've not had those messages yet, have we? From between Simon and Erin. The court is told that Simon Patterson handed in his parents' phones along with his, and Mr. Eppinstall says Gail's phone underwent a full extract. Gail, of course, sadly died, but we've already... she had a diary as well, so we've heard some things from a diary, like about Erin's lump that she was going to the hospital about. We've seen some of the text messages they discovered in that evidence already. He says Don's phone was fairly empty. I don't think he used his phone that much, he says. Mr. Mandy asks about the signal messages and whether or not the detective knew about those messages at the time the phones were collected. Then we move on to phone towers. So don't forget, we had a data expert who talked very informatively and in a very detailed way about data and masts and how it all works. So on phone towers, Mr. Mandy is asking about line of sight. They're exploring whether a phone is likely to ping off a tower if you can see it. Mr. Eppinstall agrees that if you can see a tower, you're more likely to get a connection unless it's over a hill and you can't see it. And he says that even though one of the experts in the investigation suggested exploring line of sight, he told them he wasn't interested in that at that stage of the investigation. Line of sight does not guarantee connection, he says. We weren't sure, sir, that if it had been tested or not in court, and we didn't think it was necessary on this occasion to try and assess that. He goes on to say that the telecommunication expert Dr. Matthew Sorrell was zealous on a lot of things. And he said, we've got to be careful with what we tell him, but we gave him very specific instructions, he says, which draws laughter from the courtroom. Oh, they've had a good laugh in this trial. It's quite often they said, oh, laughter from the courtroom, etc. They're all having a great time. I wonder if Erin laughs. When they all laugh, like there's been a few times that the reporters have said, oh, that results in laughter from the courtroom. I wonder if Erin laughed. Sorry. So we quickly look at SIM cards and then we take a break. Mr. Mandy asked a few questions about SIM cards. Yesterday we heard that a SIM card was swapped out into a different device during a police search of Erin's home. He's asking LSC Epinstall about how accurate the data collected is that suggests the times the SIM card was swapped. My understanding is that once a SIM card is placed in the device and we start seeing the new IMEI, which I can't remember what that means, but they did tell us what that meant a few days ago, we're confident the SIM card is in that device. Oh, here we go. IMEI stands for International Mobile Equipment Identifier and is a unique serial number assigned to devices. He then asks a few questions about the iNaturalist website we've previously heard about, and then the jury is sent out for a break. God, they've only just got going, haven't they? Oh. So this reporter says the trial is nearing its end. Mr. Epinstall is the final witness for the prosecution before the defence has the opportunity to call any of its witnesses. Who are the defence going to call as witnesses, I wonder? If anyone. Is it going to be like in that Rachel Marin's trial where literally the defence was about 10 minutes because they had no defence? That horrible person that murdered Rachel had no defence whatsoever. What defence has Erin got, I wonder? Who is Colin Mandy going to call as a defence witness? So really, this should have been finished off today, but it's not been finished off. But anyway, they're telling you here to go to their explainer, but better go to my playlist if you want a refresher. Okay. And they actually is interesting this because they do, answer questions and things. So it's a good site to visit for information. So after a brief pause on proceedings due to legal discussions, the jury is led back into courtroom 4. And just before we start back with the defence's cross-examination, there's a little word from my sponsors, which is me. I am my own sponsor. I'm just something that I don't do very often is talk about my Spanish books and my autobiography. So I'm going to now, if you've seen it before and you're not interested, now's the time. Go and make yourself a cup of tea, go to the loo, do whatever, go and buy some mushrooms for dinner tonight, whatever you want to do. But I'm just going to put on my little video about my books, just to remind everyone that I do teach Spanish as well in my day job. And also I do have a book available on Amazon, like an autobiography.
Hola, soy Vicky. And are you wanting to learn Spanish? Have you been trying to learn Spanish and it's just you can't put the words together? Common thing that people say to me is I know a lot of words, but I just can't put a sentence together. So I'm here to tell you how you can learn Spanish through English. Learn how to make sentences, not phrase book Spanish. Learn how to ask questions, answer questions. Right from beginner or whatever level you are, if you're struggling in putting it all together, there'll be a level I can offer you a solution. So I've been teaching Spanish for over 20 years to English speaking people. And these are the books that I have written. Break the Language Barrier Level 1 for beginners. Level 2 for intermediate or sort of pre-intermediate. Level 3 intermediate. Level 4 upper intermediate. And level 5 for advanced. There's really level 5 is to practice what you've already learned. So if you've already learned a lot of Spanish, but you want some practice with translations, conversation practice, games, etc., level 5 is for you. If you know more than level 1, in other words, you know how to already speak in the present tense, if your grammar has gone past the present tense but you're struggling with the past tenses, level 2 is the book for you. All these books are available on Amazon. Any Amazon, wherever you are in the world that you want to learn Spanish, you can order one of my books from Amazon. The other thing, hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Did you ever want to know a little bit more about me and my background, how I came to become interested in true crime, how I ended up in Spain being a Spanish teacher? If you want to know a little bit about me, a little bit more about me as a person, you can find my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, on any Amazon site, wherever you live in the world. And I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and this is my story. So it's the story of how I grew up in Manchester in the UK on a council estate, and very humble beginnings, and my journey through personal tragedies, disastrous romances, and triumphs to become a single mum, a Spanish teacher, and an interpreter living in Spain, and eventually a YouTuber reporting on true crime. So it details my various experiences with people and places over 20 years of teaching, over 20 years now. Ooh, where did that go? Of teaching Spanish and interpreting through the backdrop of the recession, financial uncertainty, severe flooding, and living through COVID. I hope you will find it funny, sad, amazing, silly, serious, and stranger than fiction at times. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to make you angry at least once. I hope to make you cry at least twice, and I hope to make you laugh many, many times. So thank you for all your support on my YouTube channel, and if you want to know a little bit more about me as a person, then you can find out there. So thank you so much. See you very soon in the next video. And as always, till then, may your God go with you. Bye.
I'm back. I'm back in the room. Back in the room. Okay, so we're back from lunch break. I'm back from my advert break. Let's see what happened after lunch. So we return to the day that Erin Patterson's home was searched, August the 5th. LSC Eppinstall says that Erin was allowed to walk around her home while it was being searched. That wasn't good, was it? That wasn't good. Remember, with most cases that we follow, remember with Madeline Soto, Stefan and Jen weren't even allowed to go in, and Jen wasn't allowed to get her tablets. You know, she was getting very stressed out about it, and they had to go and stay in a hotel. But this woman, this is not good, actually. This you know, the defence were right, really, to pick up on this. Erin should not have been allowed to walk around her home while it was being searched. You know, this is suspected murder. Triple murder. You know, triple murder. She should have been removed from the home. She should have been made to give up her devices. She should not have been allowed to continue using her devices. And she should have been made to go and stay somewhere else. So I do think the defence are right to pick up on this. and I think the police were wrong allowing her to have her phone. Oh, it says she was accompanied by a police officer, having said that, but she had access to her mobile phone. So she sat there on her phone. What's the police officer going to do? Look at everything she's doing on her phone. So we allowed her to retain her phone. She had arrangements to make in relation to her children. Well, of course she did. But then, they should have given her their phone or made the arrangements with her, like, the person that was accompanying her could have sorted that out. She should have had to give up her devices immediately. Immediately, they started to think that she might have had something to do with it. It's really surprising me that the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking, what? That was definite negligence. This is three people that have died. Anyway, Erin was then left alone in a room with the door closed in order to call her lawyer. What? Which records show lasted 14 minutes. Oh my God. Just leave the murder suspect in the room for 14 minutes to factory reset their phone, wipe their phone, do whatever. Oh my God. That is wrong, isn't it? Let me know what you think about that. I just can't believe they did that. Anyway, then Mr. Mandy claims that some devices were not taken during the search. Mr. Mandy tells the court there were some electronic devices that were not seized during the search of Erin Patterson's house. Mr. Eppinstall says that while Erin mentioned a Nokia during her police interview, police did not seize a Nokia during the search. So remember, that came up yesterday. This Nokia phone has never been found. Oh, thank you, Tracy. That's very kind. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. I think it's interesting, if nothing else. That's what people tell me. So, very sloppy of police, Angel. Isn't it? Very sloppy. Exactly, David. How could they have left her alone for 14 minutes? This is a murder suspect. Triple murder suspect. Very, do you think because she's sort of like some white housewifey person that they just didn't take it seriously enough? I feel like they didn't take it seriously enough. But anyway. So Mr. Mandy shows the court an image of Erin Patterson's home during the search and points towards a black object sitting on a windowsill. This came up before, didn't it? A black object sitting on a windowsill. And Mr. Mandy suggests that this black object was in fact the phone or a second phone. But Mr. Eppinstall disagrees with it. He disagrees with it. He says, I don't think that's consistent with a phone. If that was a phone, I would think we had found it. We would have seized it. So Mr. Mandy's trying to suggest the phone was there all the time. Though I don't really see the point of that, because just because the phone might say that was the phone. So I suppose what he's trying to say is Erin wasn't trying to hide it. It was right there on the windowsill and they just overlooked it. And maybe they did, I don't know. But then where is it now? Where is it now? Even if it was there and they overlooked it then, where is it now? So he said if that was a phone, I would think we would have seized it. We would have found it, would have seized it. So it's that would have, could have, should have, isn't it? So he doesn't say definitely because he doesn't know, I suppose. Oh, and then another photograph of the August 5th search is shown, this time of the computer Lego room in Erin's house. A plastic storage basket is pictured with an object on it. I wish we could see these photos. We could have a blow-up of them, couldn't we, and see. It does look as though there's a phone box in that basket, Mr. Mandy says. And then he actually admits, the policeman, yes, it does. Now, a phone box. What does a phone box mean? A phone box. So did it mean like the box that the phone came in? That doesn't mean say the phone is inside it, of course. And anyway, as I say, to me, the ultimate point is, where is that phone now? If it was there on the day and it was overlooked, then why then later when they asked Erin about that phone, why did she not bring it to them then? So, well, don't forget to let me know what you think. Yeah. So another photo is shown of the same room, showing white shelving on 3 sides, with a desk in the middle of the room and items in small plastic baskets. On the shelves are black objects, which Mr. Mandy suggests are laptops. If those are laptops, this is the first time I'm learning of these items, Mr. Eppinstall says. Now, I think we've got at least 4 laptops in this house that are defunct. And again, like I was saying about the phones, I just don't know what to do with them. I will do. It's on the list. You'll learn about this huge list I've got of things that have got to be done, that I'm supposed to tick off every time I do one, and they just never even get done. And one of them, again, as well as doing something with the phones that I've got that are obsolete now, that I don't use anymore, there's a couple of laptops as well that need sorting out. One, though, I want to get the information off it. Anyway, it's a long story I won't bore you with, but I'm going to need to take it to a specialist because it's got all my books on it. So I need to get the books downloaded off there, and I just can't do it at the moment because it's the laptop. So just anyway. So are these laptops that weren't seized? So really what Mr. Mandy's trying to do is discredit this search, and to be honest, doing quite a good job of it. So he tells the court that other devices in the house were not seized, which Mr. Eppinstall can't confirm. That is not good, is it, by the police? Is it? Anyway, then CCTV footage from a Subway restaurant is shown again to the court, which the prosecution earlier argued showed Erin dropping her son off to buy a meal. And Mr. Mandy makes the argument that it is in fact not footage of Erin Patterson. And he puts it to Mr. Eppinstall, there's nothing else besides the vehicle being consistent with Erin Patterson's vehicle and the teenager getting out of it that allows police to say it is in fact Erin. Right, hang on. So this car's pulled up. It's a car that is like Erin's car. They obviously can't see the matriculation, the number plates, otherwise they would confirm it was Erin's car. And the teenager getting out of it is, well, probably being Erin's son. And he's saying that doesn't prove it was Erin, because obviously it must be that you cannot see Erin herself behind the wheel. Anyway, Mr. Eppinstall agrees with that suggestion, and Mr. Mandy then shows a still from CCTV footage inside the Subway restaurant and suggests that a teenager pictured is not Erin Patterson's son. Yeah, don't forget, he's doing his job. He's trying to cast doubt, and that's what the defence is there for, isn't it? Because Erin has to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, doesn't she? And then he says, I believe it to be Erin Patterson's son, but that's a matter for the jury, he says. Who says? I'm presume, does that mean that, is that the policeman says that? I presume it's the policeman that says that. So Colin Mandy is trying to say it's not Erin's son. And the policeman says, I believe it to be her son, but it's up to the jury to decide. And yeah, ultimately it is up to the jury to decide. Then Mr. Mandy brings up the Facebook messages sent between Erin Patterson and her friends in a private chat group. The prosecution previously exhibited the messages to the court, reflecting Erin's frustration with her in-laws and her estranged husband. Mr. Mandy reads out messages from other participants in the chat, which were not read by the prosecution, with some of her Facebook friends referring to the Pattersons as morons. So, we've got a situation here, haven't we, at the end of the day? Erin's having a moan about her family. For whatever reason, the Facebook friends are joining in with it, aren't they? Calling them morons, etc. But, people tend to defend their friends, don't they? So, like, if your friend, especially if you don't know the other people that are concerned. So, it's different if you know the people, isn't it? You've got your opinions about people if you know them. But what I'm trying to say is, so for example, if your friends started whinging about their sister, yeah, for example, but you didn't know their sister, but this is your friend who's talking. So you're going to agree with them because you don't know any different. Anyway, they say, oh, do you know what my sister did? Or do you know what my brother did? Or do you know what my mum did, my dad? And you're going to go, oh, that's terrible, because you're only getting the one side of it, aren't you? So you are going to say, oh, that's awful they'd do that to you. Or because the person you're talking to is your friend, you don't know those other people. Now, if they were having a whinge about people that you knew and maybe you thought, oh, no, they're not horrible people. I know them and they're not. Maybe you might defend them more. But I think it's easy to go along with what your friend says. If your friend's moaning about someone, like say they're moaning about someone at work, if your friend's moaning, says, oh, this person at work, they said this, did that. Now, you don't know what's actually going on at work. Maybe your friend has been the instigator of that problem. But you're not going to say, oh, well, it's your fault, are you? You're going to obviously defend your friend, especially because you don't even know the other person. You've got no reason to question what they say. So this is probably what happened here. So Erin's had a good moan about her friends and, about her family, and her Facebook friends have just agreed with her and gone along with it, supporting her. They're supporting her in their eyes. That's how it seems to me anyway. So it's not the Facebook friends' fault. The Facebook friends have been told all these horrible things. If somebody said to you, oh, my husband did this, my husband did that, you'd go, don't let them get away with that. That's coercive control. Because you don't know both sides of the story, do you? With your friends, like when we're talking about cases, we try and look at both sides, don't we? But if we were talking to a friend, we're going to support them, aren't we? Of course we are. That's our natural instinct, to support our friends. We don't know the other person, so we're just going to go, oh God, what a horrible thing to do. We don't know if they're nice people or not because we've never met them. Well, not that they'd met Erin, to be honest. They hadn't met her. They'd only spoke to her on Facebook. But I hope I've got over what I'm trying to say. I feel like the Facebook friends will have been egged on by Erin, to be honest. That's the way I look at it. She'll have whinged about the family and whinged about Simon, and the Facebook friends will be agreeing with her because she's their friend. So the prosecution previously exhibited the messages to the court, reflecting Erin's frustration with her in-laws and her estranged husband. Mr. Mandy reads out messages from the other participants in the chat, which were not read by the prosecution, with some of her Facebook friends referring to the Pattersons as morons. But yeah, because don't forget, she's told them all these bad things that they've done, so they're going to call them morons. They don't know him from Adam. I bet they're regretting it now. They didn't know if they were morons or not, but all they know are the bad things that Erin said about them. Anyway, so what he's trying to say is that many of those messages read out from Erin came in the context of wider discussions. So should not, well, according to Mr. Mandy, and he's the defence lawyer, he's doing what he's being paid to do. He's trying to defend Erin. So according to him, those messages should not be taken at face value. They should be taken in the context of wider discussions. So now the jury has stepped out for a break. And to add some further context, the court was shown what appears to be more comprehensive account of the Facebook conversation Erin Patterson allegedly had with her Facebook friends in December 2022. This was the same exchange we heard about earlier in the trial, where a person using the Erin account labelled Simon Patterson a deadbeat and said, "This family, I swear to effing God." So we now saw some of the replies in the chat, namely from a Jenny Hay account. Jenny Hay was a witness earlier in this trial, and in the messages, Jenny labels Simon Patterson pathetic and an SHIT dad. So Jenny, when Jenny appeared as a witness earlier, it wasn't mentioned about these things. But, she'll have said that. She doesn't know Simon Patterson. So she said that because of what Erin said. That's my opinion anyway. So Mr. Mandy continues to read out Facebook messages sent between Erin and her friends. The messages are supportive of Erin, of course, and address her relationship with Simon Patterson. Hopefully he will have to pay up soon, one message reads. So, you can, to me, it just seems obvious. Erin's been whinging both about Simon and her family, his family. And these people are just agreeing with her, sympathising with her. They don't know these people. So I think it's these messages also that are being taken out of context. So Mr. Mandy puts it to Mr. Eppinstall that the chat became an outlet for the participants. This was a chat where a number of the participants were talking like this, that is, venting to each other, Mr. Mandy suggests, and Mr. Eppinstall says, yes, that's fair to say. Yeah, they were probably all having a whinge about all their husbands, kids, families, friends, whatever. That's what you do on these Facebook groups, or that, not what I do, but I'm not in any. Well, I am in some Facebook groups, but I'm a lurker. I don't comment. Or not very often. And if I did comment, it wouldn't be to talk about my personal life. Then messages from the app Signal between Erin and her in-laws are shown to the court. The messages date back to January 2022. Earlier in the trial, we heard Erin, Simon, Don and Gail Patterson were in a group chat together on Signal, and they discussed issues such as child support on it. Simon Patterson also told the court, I don't know about you, I don't know about Signal chat, I've never heard of it, but these WhatsApp chat groups, I can't stand them. I cannot bear them. People sometimes add me to groups, I just take myself out of them again. Because, for a start, they're beeping every 5 minutes. Somebody's putting some message in. They talk a load of rubbish normally about whatever it is. And also, this has got politicians into trouble, hasn't it, as well? I can't believe that people go on public chats and the police, like Wayne Cousins and all that, they were all in these WhatsApp groups. They're incriminating apart from anything. I just don't understand how people have not got their head around the fact that whatever you send in a WhatsApp group chat it can end up being, public. Why would the police be in a WhatsApp group chat? In any job that when people, in people's works and that, they have these WhatsApp chats, don't they? And then in communities of like blocks of flats and things like that, they have these community chats, and they're just, and the idea of them is good, so people can talk about common issues, but they always seem to end up deteriorating into either bullying or, you know, people making incriminating jokes, like the police making jokes about RAPE and finding dead bodies and things, you know, just ridiculous things. So I don't really understand these group chats. To me, you know, just if you're gonna, you've always got to be very careful what you put in a message, even if it's someone you love. You just don't know 3 years down the line, you know, and messages can be taken out of context. Messages are notorious for being misunderstood, aren't they? So you've got always got to be, you know, always try and be polite. Now, I mean, I probably have done some daft things like years ago, but what I've learned over the years is don't ever put anything in a message that you wouldn't be prepared to just back up, you know, that's not true for a start, or that, you know, is inappropriate or whatever, because these things can come back to bite you. So Simon Patterson also told the court, oh, look at this, his mother eventually stopped looking at messages from Erin due to the anxiety it caused her. You know, messages can be very, you know, obviously if you get into an argument, like a shouty type argument, that's bad too. But that's once you've stopped speaking, once you've stopped shouting at each other, that argument's finished, isn't it? If you get into a text argument, you can look back over it and over it and over it again. Texts can be misconstrued because you haven't got the tone of voice, or you haven't put the right punctuation in it, so it comes over different from what you meant to say. So yeah, you've got to be very careful with text, I think. So the messages from January 2022 deal with Erin's struggles with back pain and the older Pattersons offering their sympathies. Now, come on. These people are 70 years old. Oh my God, they're 70 years old. Erin's 50, 20 years younger, and she's whinging about her pains, aches and pains. You know, you know, they'll have aches and pains as well. You know, at 70 really, and Erin's only 50, you know, she shouldn't really be whinging to older people about her aches and pains and ailments. They're bound to have more aches and pains and more ailments. But Erin is a total narcissist, in my view. It's all about her back pain and, you know, a lack of energy, not thinking that maybe if she lost a couple of stones, she'd have a lot more energy. You know, it's not necessarily she's finding a reason for her ailments because she don't want to face up to the fact, as we all do, that, well, I certainly don't, is that sometimes you do think, oh, you know, oh, my knees hurting or whatever, and they think, oh, maybe if I lost a stone, it might be better. You know, but I at least I'm aware of it, and I don't inflict my whinges on other people. But to be whinging to a 72... To whinging about your ailments to two 70-year-olds just seems a bit unfair to me. And they're offering their sympathies all the time. They're being sympathetic towards her, and she's just whinging about them on the Facebook group, and then allegedly tries to poison him. Dear me, she's just an awful person in my view, or allegedly. Anyway, so Mr. Mandy continues detailing the messages between Erin and her in-laws before stopping. I would like to see those messages. I bet they're all, I bet you any money. Erin is this entitled, you know, she's done all right, hasn't she? She's been left $2 million in a will. You think you'd be deliriously happy with that, really, wouldn't you? You know, just got two lovely children. You've got a decent relationship with your ex. You know, she's, you know, just be happy with what you've got. But in the meantime, I bet she's a right whinger, whinge about every ailment she's got. And I think, in my opinion, and again, only my opinion, how it strikes me, just the feeling that I have, is for someone like Erin, you could never give her enough sympathy because it's all about her and poor me, you know, poor me, poor me. And then when Simon put on that tax form that he was separated, and then when his parents didn't like it when she called him a deadbeat dad and this, that, and the other, which of course that's their son at the end of the day. She didn't like it. I think she's just literally done this out of spite. And the only thing I don't know if she's done is if she meant to kill them or she just meant to make them ill. She probably wanted to say to them, oh, I'll let you know what it feels like to be me with all my ailments, because she just so she was whinging about things that, genuinely she had, like back pain or whatever, but then also whinging about things, saying she had cancer when she didn't, saying she had a biopsy when she didn't, saying when she had an MRI scan, which she didn't. So she's definitely a Munchausen's by proxy person. Well, not by proxy. She's just whinging about it for herself. Yeah. And the only good thing, if you like, about Erin is she seems to care about her children. But having said that, well, she's taken her children's grandparents away from them, allegedly. And, does she care about her children? Or is that just a control thing? She's tried to kill their father, allegedly, as well. Anyway, so he continues detailing these messages before stopping. He informs Justice Steele he can go no further with his cross-examination until some legal issues are sorted without the presence of the jury. What he means is he wants to go home early. And Justice Steele takes the opportunity to adjourn court early for the day. So, yeah. So there'll be another day. There'll be another day tomorrow where the prosecution witnesses will give evidence. So let's just have a little summary of today. Erin Patterson was allowed to use her phone while police searched her house. She was left alone with her phone to contact a lawyer for 14 minutes, remember, as police searched her home. The defence showed multiple photos of Erin's home featuring black objects which could have been mobile phones. LSC Eppinstall told the court that if the objects had been phones, they would have been seized. The defence argued that the CCTV footage purported to show Erin Patterson and her son at a subway, but it was in fact footage of someone else, according to Mr. Mandy, but Mr. Eppinstall disputed that. Facebook messages between Erin and her friends were aired more fully in court, with the defence telling the court the group was a space for venting about their personal lives. So Mr. Mandy is trying to say that it was just, figures of speech. They were just all egging each other on to talk about their personal life, and it wasn't necessarily how Erin really felt. Well, let's see what you all made of that. Excel, you're going to Madrid, Barcelona and Valencia. Lovely. All very nice. And Seville, all the best places in Spain, all of those. They're all lovely. They're all lovely. Yeah, David, I agree. The phone probably is at the bottom of a river. October should be perfect weather, Excel. Sometimes we get a bit of rain in October, just to let you know. But normally, this year, don't use this year as a way of judging what the weather, because this October just got, it was terrible, the weather, but it's not normal. Windy wherever Angel is. Well, exactly, Bluebell. Surely the sun can say, the sun himself. Let me just put, surely Erin's son can say, did they go to Subway or not? I mean, he's 13. He's not 2-year-old. He'll remember if he went to Subway or not. Hi, Alana. Yeah, you have missed quite a lot, but you can do catch up, of course. Replay crew. David doesn't mince his words as normal. So I'm just reading through the chat now, because as I was reading and holding forth there, I couldn't look through the chat. So I like to have a little look. Yeah. Yeah. See, to me, thank you, Alana. That's very kind. Thank you. Alana's given me a nice compliment. Compliments always gratefully received. Thank you. I think Erin is entitled, isn't she? You know, she's like, some people, doesn't matter what they've got, they feel like they deserve more. You know, they deserve more. It's this pity party, all her aches and pains, you know, rolling in money, but it's never enough. She still wants her maintenance, you know, from Simon. I'm not saying he shouldn't contribute. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying what you know. Just sometimes, just be happy with what you've got. You've got more than most people. Two lovely kids. You know, you don't need to work. You've got a lovely house. In fact, she had two lovely houses. But she still went off, allegedly, and poisoned her in-laws, and might be, you know, it won't matter what houses she got. Well, her children will get the benefit of them, I suppose. Why wasn't she just happy with what she had? Just don't understand at all. Do not understand. People like Erin who are not happy, you know. But I mean, none of us are completely happy with her, but there's always something we'd quite like to have, isn't it? You know, but Erin's life, really, it's a life that a lot of people would give anything for. I think especially the financial security. And then there she is lying, saying she's got cancer, when people out there really do have cancer. That's what makes me really angry as well, because all of us, we've either had cancer, we know someone who's had cancer, we've lost someone who's had cancer. You know, cancer resonates. There's nobody whose life hasn't been touched with cancer, either them themselves or somebody they know. And so Erin's lies about having cancer are the worst ones, aren't they, really? You know, just to do that for effect, or for sympathy, for attention. She's an attention freak, isn't she? Just like, oh, look at me. And then, of course, after sitting and watching those poor people eat all that poison that she served up to them, they all prayed for her. Just horrible, I think. Horrible. She just, you know, Erin's the sort of person who would never be happy. You know, entitled people who think life owes them a living, not that they have to do anything or contribute anything, just that it's like what the world can give to them, not what they can give to the world. These entitled people. It's like, oh, that's what I'm entitled to. Not entitled to anything in life. You know, you have to make the best of life yourself. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. You should have to earn your own way in life, is my opinion. That's why I don't like the royal family and things like, you know, some people just fall into this. It's just the luck of where they're born. If someone's lucky enough to be born into money or whatever, or to be born into a nice family and not a horrible family, or to be born into a country, you know, that is a wealthy country, not born in a poor country or in a war-torn country. These are just luck. You know, they're not achievements. They're not what people deserve or earn. It's just pure luck where you're born, you know, who you're born to, who your family are. And if you've got good things that way, then you should count yourself lucky. not think that you're entitled to it. So anyway, hi sheep farming. Yeah. Maureen, I am British, not American. Come on now. So, in England, we spell defense with a C. Now, and I could argue that English was invented before American English. So actually, maybe it's the Americans that have got it wrong. Come on now. Come on now. Basic British English. You're not the first person who said. Somebody else said that a while ago. Well, defence is spelt with an S. It's not spelt with an S in Britain. It's spelt with a C. But anyway, thank you for being pedantic like that. There are more important things in life as well. If I'm watching an American YouTube channel and they spell defence with an S, I just think that's the American spelling. I don't feel like I have to make a comment about it because that's how petty I am. But anyway, thank you for watching. Bloody hell. Do you think people would have more important things to worry about, whether you're spelling defence in the American way or the English way? We're talking about a triple murder trial. And but no, let's make sure we spell defence correctly, because that's so important. Anyway, it is spelled correctly, so there you go. In fact, right, it's wound me up now. It's not wound me up like in a bad way. It just amuses me how things that are so, this is like, oh God, how can I explain it? Why is it more important to someone what's happened to 3 people who've been murdered than how you spell defence? How is that? So instead of making a comment about the actual situation and the fact that somebody has allegedly murdered 3 people in a very cold-blooded and horrible way, oh no, I don't care about that. I just care that defence needs to be spelled in the American way. So anyway, never mind. Never mind, Maureen. Do you know what? Have a good day or a good afternoon or a good evening. But anyway, I'm glad for you that your life must be so good that the only thing that's going to bother, if all you've got to worry about is how defence is spelled, that you want it spelt in the American way, even though it's an Australian case, actually. I don't know how it's spelt in Australia. I don't know what English they use in Australia. Maybe they use British English and it's spelt with a C. I don't know. Now I'm getting fascinated with it now. How is it spelt in Australia? Yeah, see, in Australia, it's defence with a C as well. So you need to do a little bit of research, I think. Now, maybe next time before you go on to YouTube comments and make negative comments, if you've got nothing good to say, at least if you're going to make negative comments, you need to make sure that you make, that you're correct in what you're saying. Do your research. Do your research. Hello, Maria. I agree, Bluebell. She is just rude. So imagine watching a whole podcast. Honestly, do you know what? There's naught so queer as folk. That's a British expression. There's naught so queer as folk. You watch a whole podcast about a triple murder and you come on at the end to make a comment just to complain that I haven't used American English. I've used British English. It's hilarious. Oh my God, people are just incredible, aren't they? I went to the supermarket earlier and I was reminded, I actually went to the supermarket and I was reminded again why I try my best not to go to the supermarket in person because of people. There you go. But anyway, most people are nice. Thing is, that's what you have to remember. It's like in the comments and that. I know people get thingy with comments and stuff. Oh, it's on my Spanish chat, is it? Oh, let me show you the comment she made then. See if it's still there. She might have. Oh, there it is. There you go. Defense, not defense. Come on now, basic English. That's the comment she made. Yeah, it'll be on the Spanish channel. I probably lost a subscriber on the Spanish channel, but never mind, I'll survive. Ah, well. Yeah. You watch a whole podcast, and then at the end, the only comment you can make on a triple murder case is that, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Now it's so queer as folk. Definitely now it's so queer as folk. Never mind, Maureen. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. It's a pain that, because altogether on my two channels, I've got nearly 7,000 subscribers. And when I live stream, and I live stream to both of them, which is great that I can do that on StreamYard. But the chats don't, unfortunately, and I don't know, like when Maureen's comment came up, when Maureen's comments came up, I don't know who can see them or who, I don't know if they're coming from the Spanish channel or if they're coming from the Vicky Marie Chats channel. So it's a shame. So I've looked into see it because what I'd really like to do is, of course, merge those two channels together, but you can't do it. You can't do it. So I've tried with, I've asked YouTube and you can't do it. So I've got to keep them separate. But anyway. Yeah. Yes, Alana, just surround yourself with decent folks and you don't get dramas and shit shows. Yes, or surround yourself with dogs, Alana. Isn't it? Surround yourself with dogs. And cats, you don't get dramas. They don't tell you they don't care how you spell something. Oh dear. But I hope that any other American in the chat, I don't mean to offend them, but I do think sometimes Americans do think, probably British people do as well, probably most people do, they don't realize that there are more things out there than American English. There's Spanish English, there's British English and Australian English, and apparently Australian English takes the same form as British English. And it's the same with Spanish. When you learn Spanish, you've got Spanish that's spoken here in Spain, like your traditional Spanish, and then you've got Spanish as it's spoken in South America. And they are different. They're essentially the same language, just like American English and British English. Essentially, it's the same language, but there'll be words that are spelt differently or completely different words that mean different things, in the different languages. It's just the same with Spanish and South American Spanish. How they speak Spanish in Mexico is different to how they speak Spanish in Spain. And in Argentina, they speak it a little bit more differently as well. So, they're all different, all of the countries, Ecuador, Peru, El Salvador, etc. They all have a little slight different take on still Spanish, like English is English wherever it's spoken, but English and American English are distinct. Some people say they should be two different languages, but I think that's too dramatic. They're not different languages. It's only odd words here and there that are different. So. Sheep farmer, come on, you've got to kiss and make up with David. We like to be friends on here. Okay, that's it now. I will be back later. I've got a couple of videos that I want to do. I've only got one Spanish class later. So I'm hoping to be back reasonably. David, it's not your phone, is it? Because Sheep Farmer is saying he can see your comment. But maybe it was because I put it up there. I don't know. It's just in case you blocked him by mistake, maybe. I don't know. Let's all get on together. So I'm going. I love you all. Even I've forgotten her name, the one that said about defense. Still love you. It doesn't make any difference. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all. Oh, and don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, thanks all for watching. I'll see you very soon. I will definitely be back later on today. And of course, it's members live tonight, so I'll be back for the members. Bye. And may your God go with you. Yeah. Oh, that was the wrong one. I was trying to show you sheep farmers. Yeah, don't know what's going on there, David. Okay, I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Thank you. Don't forget to like, please. Bye.